Hi guys, in this episode of Plumbing's Thoughts On, I am excited to be sharing my thoughts to the series that I recently finished reacting to, that being Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And yeah, just like I expected and I kind of alluded to in my reaction to the Rise of the TMNT movie, I definitely will miss this show going forward. Even if it's not like my favorite incarnation of TMNT, or if I had issues with it, mostly in regards to the length of the episodes, it's been a mainstay for like a year on my channel. I've been watching it for like a year, and I will miss it. Some of you might question, well, you reacted to Generator X for a longer time compared to Rise of the TMNT, but you didn't feel quite as emotional about finishing that series as you did this one. And that's, I guess, what I kind of want to talk about first and foremost in regards to my thoughts for this show, because I am kind of surprised that I actually feel as emotional, or at least as bothered by this show being done compared to how I felt about Generator X, because Generator X, it's not like it was ever a show for me that I like was super crazy about, or like I was a super crazy big fan. It never was like as entertaining of a show, or was I as big a fan of that show as I was of something like Ben 10 for comparison. But I still liked it quite a lot, and there's a reason why I've reacted to it, because I enjoyed it, I liked it, there was things about it that I liked. But there was just a certain lack of emotion in that series for one reason or another. And to be honest, that the ending of that show hardly felt like an ending anyway, so yeah, I don't know. There was just something emotional missing about it. It didn't quite feel... I feel like the season 2 finale was more emotional than the season 3 finale, if that makes any sense. But some of you might argue, well, Rise of the TMNT's ending, that being the movie, isn't that emotional either, but I honestly kind of will disagree. And I'm not necessarily even saying that that's the general opinion, that it's not like an emotional ending or whatever, because I feel like most people would find it hard to argue for this movie not being very emotional, because that's one of the things that I like about it. It's very dramatic, it's very tearjerkery, and it's very bittersweet at times even. And I think that's why I like it so much. Now that a little bit of the kind of rose-tinted glasses of it have disappeared, since it's been like a week or two since I watched it. I still love it, but maybe I am not as crazy about it as I was during the reactions. Ultimately, I'm still gonna have to wait until it's time for me to edit it, and in that point of time, I will have to... I will see how I feel about it, because usually, for one reason or another, it's whenever I edit my videos that I actually like realize my true feelings about something. So maybe by that point I would be like head over heels about that movie, and I still kinda am, if I gotta be honest. But yeah, I said comparisons, I made comparisons with the movie to something like the Fullmetal Alchemist 2003 movie, Conqueror of Shambhala. And I still will say that I like the Conqueror of Shambhala Fullmetal Alchemist movie more than this, but that is only because that movie was even more of a tearjerkery, emotional mess as this movie was. But yeah, one of the things that I love about it is that genuinely that emotion that we have in that movie, in this movie, Rise of the TMNT movie, reminds me a lot of the kind of emotions that I felt when watching the Fullmetal Alchemist movie. Honestly, I feel like more series should finish off with a bittersweet movie. Maybe it's just because I'm just such a big sucker for bittersweet endings for stuff, or just stories that are like movie land being the ending of a series, because the 2012 TMNT series also was like a bittersweet ending, and for all intents and purposes it was kind of like a movie, because it was 3 episodes that are 20 minutes long, that are one continuous story, so you could easily watch them as a movie, and I did watch them as a movie, and I really enjoyed them. But yeah, this movie, I love how much it evoked those same kind of like emotional beats the Full Metal Alchemist movie did, and I'm honestly even shocked at how similar it kind of went at times, because you kind of have a little bit of the same kind of character play that you have in terms of Full Metal Alchemist. And I gotta say this, spoilers if you don't want to be spoiled in regards to anything connected to the Full Metal Alchemist series, in particular the 2003 version, because I need to spoil the plot a little bit to be able to make this comparison here with this movie. But the plot of this movie, to me, kind of feels a little bit of like a fusion of Phineas and Ferb Across the Second Dimension, combined with Full Metal Alchemist Conqueror of Shambhala, and I guess Batman vs. Superman or Zack Snyder's Justice League with the time travel to the past kind of thing to prevent the future. I can't really think of any other movie that does that, so let's go with that. But in particular, the connection that I'm seeing with the Fullmetal Alchemist movie is that in the plot of Fullmetal Alchemist, at the end of it, the two brothers end up sacrificing each other to save each other's lives and bring each other's bodies to completion, because if you didn't know, some of those characters in the Fullmetal Alchemist 2003 series had lost their bodies or body parts at a certain point, so they ended up sacrificing each other's lives to save each other's lives, you know? And through that, one of the brothers ended up having to sacrifice himself and his body and get stuck on the other side of a portal, or whatever you want to call it. So that reminds me a lot of what the plot here of the movie is in many ways, with one of the brothers being willing to sacrifice himself for the other one, in this case Raph, and then later on that other brother making the same kind of sacrifice to save his other brothers, and then sacrificing his life and his body and getting stuck on the other side of a portal. Only this show is like a more comedic one. It's a little bit more cartoony compared to the really mature storyline and vibe of the 2003 Fullmetal Alchemist series. So this one obviously had the corny finishing of the story by having the brothers save Leo, which I'm still fine with, because it still turned out to be done in a really cool and epic moment for the characters. But at the same time, it is like very much a similar kind of story beat, which is genuinely one of the reasons why I love this movie so much, that it hits all of those similar beats. And I can't believe that it is actually as similar as it is in that regard, but it is pretty cool. And yeah, I have a couple of notes in regards to things that I kind of wanted to talk about in this video. So the first thing is, yeah, basically what I talked about how the movie reminds me of the Fullmetal Alchemist Conqueror of Shambhala movie, with the whole sacrifice yourself and get stuck in another dimension and your younger brother saving you as well. That aspect I didn't bring up, but yeah, Mikey, who is the youngest, basically ends up saving Leo from the other, from being stuck on the other side of the dimensional portal, let's call it. And that's kind of something similar that happens in Fullmetal Alchemist Conqueror of Shambhala, so that's really cool. Another thing that I believe I read in like comments on YouTube videos that I watched after I officially finished my reactions to the Rise of the TMNT series is, in this movie, Leo basically becomes like the 2003 season 4 Leo. And in general, I feel like this incarnation of Leo, for some reason, maybe it's just that visually he looks more similar to the 2003 series, but I've just gotten a lot of 2003 Leo vibes in this. Which is kind of wild, because the characters are so vastly different, you know? But in this movie, the plot that Leo goes on is genuinely like what the 2003 Leo goes through, but obviously in a faster pace and with an actual reason to feel guilt, because it is kind of Leo's fault that things happen in this movie and Raph has to sacrifice himself to save him. So the fact that he is so angry and like pushing so hard to go and save Raph um, makes sense more here than his rage in the 2003 series, where yes, uh, uh, it's not like his anger in the 2003 series about not being strong enough to protect his family is unfounded, but it's more reasonable here because it was actually his fault. Whereas in the 2003 series, putting everything on him is just like unnecessary. Like, if anybody is responsible about the fact that they all almost died, is that all of them weren't strong enough, not Leo in particular, you know? But no, he put all of that weight on his shoulders. And it made for a fun arc, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I agree with that sentiment, how Leo basically becomes like the 2003 season 4 Leo here. And this is especially where I've gotten the most like visual and like character similarities to the 2003 Leo, and I've enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I like that. Another thing that I've written down that I wanted to mention is I want to apologize for ever complaining about April in this incarnation being black or Casey being black. I'm not gonna lie, I guess I do have in me a little bit of that reactionariness, for better or for worse, which is really annoying because reactionaries despise me. With me being a trans person, they despise me and I don't want to have anything to do with them. But I do have those impulses in my brain which get triggered and are like, man, I don't like this. I just don't like this. I don't care whether it's good or bad. I just don't like this. And I try to keep it in check as much as I can, and you guys have been a great help with that, honestly. Which is something I didn't see being a positive of being an online personality, like people holding you to account like this. I don't know, it just never really stood out to me as something that would actually be good for you. But yeah, I want to apologize for ever like being bothered by that, because I honestly kind of like what they've done with both of them. Like, I know that even as the last couple of episodes, I was complaining about female Casey, Cassandra Jones being a thing, but I kind of like what they did there. I don't know why, but it's just kind of clicked in my brain that it's okay now. I don't know why. But all of a sudden, like, after I learned at the end of the movie that that's Casey's mom, it just works fine. And I kind of now want to see what Casey, would, like, Cassandra would be like as part of the team, because we didn't really get to see her as part of the team, you know. But I wouldn't mind getting more of her now. But yeah, it's stupid, honestly, to get triggered by shit like that. While I still will keep my sentiment that I prefer if new characters are created for whether when you're making like a different gender of a character or a different race of a character, I would prefer a new character to be created, because I think that requires less mental barriers to be broken for viewers and thus will trigger people less. Plus, it's more interesting because you can build a character from scratch and make it like your own thing, instead of just painting over somebody else's painting, you know? I still think that's the best way of doing things. It's not that big a deal at the end of the day. And I've honestly said it even before that I don't care at the end of the day. But yeah, I especially now want to apologize for ever whining so much, because it's stupid. It's immature and it's stupid. And this incarnation of April, honestly, personality-wise, is honestly probably the most interesting April ever. I wouldn't go as far as to say that this is like my favorite incarnation of April or anything like that. I haven't really thought about it that much, but I do actually enjoy her personality the most. Um, I just haven't really sat down to think what standards are required for a good incarnation of April. Maybe I'll do that whenever I've finished all pieces of TMNT content, whenever I sit down and start doing videos ranking every character's uh, incarnations throughout the years. Like, I plan on potentially doing videos like comparing all incarnations of April and all incarnations of Casey and all incarnations of Leonardo and videos like that once I'm done with the 1987 series, with the live action TV series, and once I'm done rewatching the 2003 series. But yeah, it's long way from now. But yeah, I actually enjoy her personality a lot. I think she's actually a very funny and entertaining character, and she's probably number 3 in terms of most entertaining characters for me, right after Donnie and Leo. So there's that. And I'm not saying that her blackness has anything to do with that, but yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to apologize for ever complaining about it, because it's stupid. There's nothing wrong with having these characters like that, and it's not like I have an issue with like black lead characters. It's not like I can't relate to black lead characters, but at the end of the day, I don't care. So yeah, I'm sorry for ever being a little bitch about it, you know. Yeah. I want to thank the movie for kind of breaking my brain in that regard, because like I said, seeing female Casey, or turning out to be like Cassandra Jones and not Casey Jones even, so it's basically like a new character, like what I said should be the case, just kind of opened my eyes to how stupid it is and how actually interesting it is to have these kind of completely different incarnations, because it's not like these incarnations are gonna stick forever anyway. Like, there's gonna be changes whether you like it or not. There's gonna be future incarnations whether you like it or not, so it's not like these changes are necessarily going to stick. And in this case, in the case of April, it made for probably the most entertaining personality that April has had. Whereas for Casey, I mean, again, I will still say that I find it really annoying that she basically was part of the Foot Clan and basically served the role of Karai of other incarnations. That's what kind of bothers me the most about it, and makes me feel like it's not Casey. But seeing her at the end with that hockey mask is something really cool, and I wish we got to see more of her actually being a female Casey. And the final thing that I know I wanted to talk about in regards to Rise of the TMNT, don't worry, there's other things that I want to talk about, but these are notes that I've just written down, is I want to talk a little bit about Donnie's neurodivergence, because for those of you who don't know, I am definitely, in addition to being trans, definitely some kind of neurodivergent person as well. Now, some of you might say that I'm just victimizing myself and trying to like appeal to popular trends and try to gather all the possible victimization points that are prominent right now. Like, people who just call themselves like autistic, or say that they have ADHD just because it's like the cool thing to do, you know? Some of you might accuse me of being that, and honestly, I'm not gonna even like bother arguing with you that it's not the case, because for one reason or another, it is quite the coincidence how I find myself being like the blackest sheep possible, considering that that nobody around me in real life has any of these issues. I am the only one. So I'm not gonna even say that you're wrong in that regard. but it is what it is. And considering that I am trans, it actually makes sense. It's a very common thing for trans people to be neurodivergent. And I don't know whether I am autistic, like high functioning autistic, or whether I have ADHD, or both. I don't know. I just definitely know that I am neurodivergent because my brain just doesn't work the same way. It just doesn't function in any way, shape, or form like the average person's. It's hard to describe, but it is the case. And I've always felt like the things that other people did automatically without even putting a single thought, I've had to go out of my way to force myself to think about to be able to do them. You know? So I'm definitely some kind of neurodivergent person. I don't know if I'll ever really get properly diagnosed because I am not sure whether doing so would prevent me from transitioning, because for some stupid reason in some European countries, which is where I'm from, there is these laws which say that if you are autistic or something along those lines, you might not be allowed to transition as a trans person, so I don't want that to happen. But yeah, I don't know if that's enough of a proof for you guys that I am neurodivergent, but I believe myself to be, so there's that. So that has not, to go back to Rise of the TMNT, that has not been something that I've like consciously thought about in regards to Donnie's character. Like, it's not a reason why I like the character. At least not a conscious reason. I haven't gone out of my way to like that character because I relate because, hey, he is like me. But through his behavior and everything, I do think that one of the reasons why I like that character and why he's so enjoyable in this incarnation is because so many of those behaviors I relate to and I think the same, you know? The only major thing of his character that I guess don't relate to is the touching thing. I've never really had much of an aversion to touching like that, although now that I think about it, there might be. It's just not really ever been like as a conscious thing of like, please don't touch me, please don't touch me. Like, at most, it might be my dad putting his arm on my shoulder and me just brushing it off, because I just kind of find it uncomfortable, but that's about it, you know? But yeah, I do enjoy his character a lot. I love that they've portrayed it like so prominently as well. Like, even in the movie, that one line is probably one of the most memorable and prominent lines for me from the movie, which I didn't even register at first. It wasn't until I read comments about it afterwards that it really solidified me in my mind. But it's when Raph is saving Mikey and Donnie at the end of the movie, and he screams that this is not a hug, this is a rescue, as he is grabbing Donnie and Mikey. Because even in this stressful situation, he's still being respectable of Donnie's thinking or Donnie's issues, or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I really like that aspect of his character. It's not, again, the main thing that I enjoy about him. I just mostly enjoy his humor, his personality, his quirks and everything, his know-it-all, self-righteous, self-aggrandizing attitude. Is very entertaining and very relatable to me. But yeah, I really, really like him a lot. So that's kind of all the things that I've really, really wanted to talk about. Other than this, I don't think there's much to say about this show, because I mean, it's mostly just like a pointless comedy, and I don't mean that to be like to be rude against the show or anything. I do enjoy it. I've had a lot of fun with a lot of the more one-off crazy episodes like Mrs. Cuddles or the clothing montage episode. I really enjoyed those kind of episodes, but seeing how well they did with like the plot stuff and the character-driven stuff in the movie, I do really wish we got more of that version of Rise of the TMNT throughout the series. And yeah, I guess I wish they did more 20-minute long episodes. Like, I already have complained about this quite a lot, so I don't want to just regurgitate the same point, but in many ways, I am fine with the vibe that this show has. I enjoy the jokes, I enjoy the humor. I don't even mind that much that it's like an even more comedic incarnation of TMNT, even compared to the 2012 series. I just wish the episodes were 20 minutes long so I could actually engage with them properly, because with the way the show has been, by the time I start to get involved and invested in the episode, it's already over, so yeah. So, despite the fact that back in like 2019 I said that I was never gonna watch this show and that I hated it, I ended up watching it, and I've already, I think, did I mention it on some video or did I comment it? I don't remember, but I'm definitely never saying that I'm not checking out a show ever again. Unless it's like something like straight up like a stupid like adult cartoon comedy kind of thing, like Family Guy or Rick and Morty or BoJack Horseman, like that kind of shit. I just don't give a shit. I hate that shit. I don't care. I don't care. So that's the only thing that I'm straight up never reacting to, because I don't like the fan bases of those shows, and those kind of like look at me how mature and crude I am kind of shows just are not my thing. But I am honestly glad that I was wrong and that I watched this show, because it was a lot of fun going through it. And it's really honestly kind of interesting to think about how right the vibe that I felt about the show when I first watched it turned out to be for the whole series. Because I remember when I first saw that first episode, Mutant Mayhem, on YouTube, I think it was like back in 2018, 2019, I remember how it weirdly reminded me of the 2003 series, and especially, I guess, the 6th season of that show. And in many ways, the show genuinely felt like it embodied that vibe quite a lot. Like, the 2003's 6th season was very comedic compared to previous seasons. It was more sci-fi based, whereas in this case Rise of the TMNT is more mystic based, but it still kind of takes that tone of the 6th season and kind of, I guess, pushes it up to 11 and with better action, so there's that as well. But the art style-ish is reminiscent a little bit, I feel like, with the kind of more angular and flatter designs, and some of the more colorful outfits for the turtles. And one of the most major things is the wrist thing that Donnie has in this incarnation. Is, I'm pretty sure, something that the 2003 Donnie has in Fast Forward, the 6th season of the 2003 series. So it is honestly kind of similar when you think about it. And also, I'm pretty sure that the 6th season of the 2003 series was supposed to have like a space Usagi or something. Like a really cool version of Usagi that we never got to see. And I believe this version of Rise of the TMNT also was supposed to have something like that. So there's even more similarities between the two. I wonder if somebody can do a video that kind of thinks about or compares Fast Forward to Rise of the TMNT, because I feel like there's a lot of similarities there, and that's the first thing that came to mind when I watched that first episode. And genuinely, the series does, in many ways, work in the same kind of tone, in the same kind of space. Like, you could easily kind of incorporate some of those episodes, concepts at least, into that season of Fast Forward, and vice versa, I feel like. So, yeah, there's obviously the difference between the technology focus of Fast Forward versus the mystic focus of Rise of the TMNT, but in general, otherwise, the tone is not different there, and I do enjoy that about it, honestly. But yeah, maybe I'll have even more to say in future videos, like whenever I sit down to do the top list of episodes for this incarnation of TMNT, because I will do that most likely at some point during the fall. Because I don't want to do the top list in this location. I want to go back to the other place and do it there, and that's gonna happen only in like October or something. You can most likely expect the video for like New Year's. But yeah, right now I think that's all I have to say about this show. It was fun, the jokes were great, the action was great, even though I feel like, honestly, at times it was a little bit too much to the point where I feel like I was getting action fatigue, to where I just didn't really care about any of the movement that was happening on screen, because I feel like we're reaching a point with action to where we can do so much with so many frames and so much movement, to the point where I just get fatigued and just don't give a shit. So we're getting to a point where the animators and choreographers of the action or whatever need to put more effort into how they actually do the action to actually make me care and be invested about that movement that the characters are doing. Because as crazy as and good as the action is in this incarnation, it's still only in specific episodes where there's more like personality to the specific movement of the characters that I've actually really enjoyed and that has really stuck with me. Like, for example, the action in the episode where the turtles learn that Lujitsu is their dad. I think the action in that episode is one of the best ones we've gotten. Similarly, in, I believe, Many and Happy Returns, the Season 2 premiere, is another episode where the action is really good, with the moment where Mikey throws a goddamn container ship being one of my favorite moments of action in this series. That's the kind of action that I've really enjoyed the most. But, yeah, I don't know. It's a really fun show. I definitely will miss it. Although probably, again, not as much as... I don't feel quite as sad ending the series as I did for the ending of the 2012 series or the 2003 series. Mostly because I still have the 1987 series going right now, so I don't quite feel like starved of turtles in my life, you know? So, as different as the characters are, it's still the Turtles, so I still will keep watching for probably a year and a half. Until I'm done with the 1987 series as well. But I definitely will miss it. I'll definitely miss the personalities of Leo and Donnie especially, but... yeah. I honestly like this series quite a lot, and I'm sorry that I ever kind of like was so against it. Because, yeah, I do not like the current era of cartoons and what they represent. I hate the stupid, self-aware, we hate our audience, and we hate people who enjoy this kind of shit, like the cartoons who mocked the people who actually cared for the ideas and the concepts that previous incarnations introduced. Like, I don't understand how shit like Teen Titans Go or Thundercats Roar, who mock their previous incarnations, how does that shit get made? Why does that shit get made? I don't get the argument. But luckily, Rise of the TMNT is actually not like those incarnations. It's just... it's still like very comedic and very like childish and immature, and definitely targeting a younger audience compared to previous incarnation, but it does not have a contempt for its audience, which I think is the main reason why these kind of cartoons piss people off, because they just hate their audience. But luckily this incarnation doesn't, and I feel like as time goes on, more people will realize that it's actually a pretty decent incarnation. Certainly better than what the upcoming cinematic movie is going to be, which I'm not really looking forward to because I've made it clear in my reaction to that trailer that I'm sick and tired of comedic incarnations of TMNT, and even if it's good, I don't care because I want a serious TMNT again. But I'll still probably end up watching it for the channel because TMNT videos just do really well. You guys keep showing up for those videos, so keep pumping them out. But yeah, I love Rise of the TMNT, and I'll miss it. And I'm curious, what do you guys think about my thoughts in regards to Rise of the TMNT? Do you disagree with me on certain things? What other, I guess, things you want me to share my opinion in regards to Rise of the TMNT? If you have any questions in particular for Rise of the TMNT that you want me to answer, feel free to comment them down below, and I'll do my best to either answer them in the comments or maybe do a video where I answer them if there is enough of those going around. But yeah. Honestly, funnily enough, I feel like of all the incarnations of TMNT, so far the 2003 series has kind of the worst ending of all of them. Because the 2012 series has an epic post-apocalyptic three-parter for an ending that is very bittersweet. With the characters having gone through hell and finally find like peace in like a safe haven in this post-apocalyptic world, which is a really, really cool idea that I wish we got to see more of. The ending of this incarnation is a kind of, well, not really bittersweet, but a very emotional and impactful movie that I find really, really enjoyable. And it also has a little bit of that post-apocalyptic thing to it as well that I really, really like. And in comparison, the 2003 series just ends with a wedding. It's not like it doesn't work, but compared to what the series' core was, aka the first 5 seasons, that just doesn't feel like it belongs to the same show. Which is why the season 5 finale is more of like a proper ending. And if we compare that one, that probably would be the objectively best ending because it's probably the best written, but it still has its issues. But it's just really funny to me how the one series that I love the most, the 2003 series, has the worst ending. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's all I have to say. Hopefully I don't remember something right after I'm done with the recording of this video, but it's gonna be what it's gonna be, you know. I don't have the time to sit down and think about everything that I could possibly say, so maybe we could do a follow-up video in the future or something along those lines if I have something else to say. But it's not like this is the deepest show ever that requires really too much thought. That's kind of the biggest issues with it, but whatever. Like I said though, I am curious, what are your thoughts on this show? How much you like it? What do you like about it? In what ways do you like it? And what do you think about my thoughts? Comment all of that down below and let's have a discussion about this. And also, before we end this video, I just want to give a huge shout out to my currently 6 patrons on Patreon. Omar Bijman, Deadpool, Corby Dead, Dane Harty, Peyton Jones, and Jason Christmas. Thank you guys for your support, I really appreciate it. It really means a lot to me. You have decided to support me, have continued to support me in such a long time. Hope you continue to enjoy my content and continue to support me going forward. Thank you very much. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like, subscribe. Also, check out the link in the description to my Wattpad, where I post my stories, because in addition to doing all these videos on my channel, I'm also a writer. And if you enjoy my stories or simply enjoy my videos, you can head over to my Patreon or to my Ko-fi account where you can pledge support, help get the channel going, help support me so I can keep writing the stories you enjoy. But if you don't want to do any of that, that's completely fine. You can still help me out in other ways, like liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and especially sharing this video with somebody who you think might enjoy it. And I think it's pretty much it for this video, so hopefully I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye!